Okay. Who wants to start?
What?
Who's going to start?
Oh, I can start. Okay, so I see you got some topics today. So what do you got?
Okay.
What?
That's stupid.
What?
I have to start over, but you said, "Oh, I can start," and then you just made me start.
Oh.
I was not expecting that. I can start. So what do you got?
I said who's gonna start talking first.
Okay. All right. Say something again.
Well, I mean that might as well be in the podcast. It's our first time laughing.
All right. Whatever. Yeah, I do have a few things. Okay, so I gotta decide what I want to go with here. Don't be cheating off my list.
Okay.
I'll start light. We have that O200 engine that we talked about, maybe just overhauling and flipping, basically. Put it together and sell it. Last time we talked about that, you kind of had some very different life plans, and so now where do you think you're at? I'm
definitely still wanting to do that, just because I think it's a really good way for me to do something on the side that's not like ultra time consuming. It's kind of just like here and there. It's not super pressing, that kind of deal. So I'm definitely still interested in doing it. I guess the kicker would be is how bad that O200 is.
Yeah, how much work it needs.
Yeah, so
that's kind of one of my thoughts was like, how much money are we willing to put into it? Obviously, we kind of know when it's just not worth the value,
right?
Because we're going to exceed the value of the engine. But I think a good starter to that is definitely sending the crankshaft off, because that needs to happen
anyways to even sell the core,
right? And if that's going to cost $2,000 or it's not repairable or something, then we're like upside down on the engine. If we want to put it together, it's worth more just selling the parts as is.
I agree.
So that's something that I would say that if we want to pursue it, we should kind of just get started. But I'm not saying like jump into it and get it done in 2 weeks. I'm saying just like let's keep it moving, so that otherwise if we in 6 months start, we're going to want to get it done quick, So I'd rather just slowly get things going.
I would say that I'm probably not at a position to be ready to order parts for that one until probably after fishing.
We don't even know that the crankshaft is good anyway. So
I would say like if we're going to build it up, it's going to be like after fishing type situation.
Yeah,
is when
I think that's a good plan.
Yeah,
but again, the crankshaft can be sent out before that.
Yeah. And then we need to get. Well, we'll probably go new cannon lifters.
Overall.
Oh, okay. We'll just find a set of used ones.
So,
Okay. Like stuff like that, we could start working on sending out. So
I think that would be smart.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll work on getting that done this week at some point.
Okay.
At least the crank. That's probably a big one.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing right now.
Yeah.
We can, if we want, start tallying up some of the parts we need, just so we can keep it in mind and know how much it's going to cost. But we don't need to buy anything right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of just start with that.
Well, that gives us a plan with that.
Mm-hmm.
What do you got?
I don't know. Let's see what you got. Last episode, I felt like it was all about me, so might as well let you talk for a bit.
All right. Okay. Let's see. Give me your thoughts on this. We got those new small whiteboards for all of the workers in the shop here to like each have our name, and it's basically a to-do list, right? I am having trouble wrapping my head around like what's the best way to, for one, like prioritize which ones, because say you write down 3 things for John to do, but then there's something I need him to do like now. What do I do?
Right.
Obviously I could tell him, but I want us to be used to using these lists,
Well, we could, at the very top, we could have a priority lane that we don't fill out, and then it's just an empty box that you can fill out.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like
just a quick little, basically drop everything and do this one.
Yeah,
as soon as you see it, kind of thing. That's a good idea. We could try something like that.
Yeah, and then the rest are down below.
Or kind of like mostly doesn't matter what order.
Right.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a bummer if it's like, when you write the 5 things down, it doesn't matter what order, but then you decide you want this one thing first, and that's right in the middle, so you just You can erase and rewrite, but
right.
kind of annoying.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably the best way is just have like a priority lane just kind of on the front.
Okay, like on the top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just a section that's not ever filled out and it's just there for
a
quick little fill out. I think that solves that pretty easily. And then it's only one lane, so it's like you can't prioritize like 50 things. You have to pick one. And
you have a list of 10, but do these 5 now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think that's good. We'll try that.
I think that'll solve that issue.
Yeah. And if we'll see how it works. If it doesn't work for any reason, we'll rethink that. But I think that's a good plan. Okay, here's my big one. It's not that big, but it's one that I'm really interested in. We've talked about this like multiple times over the last 5 years for the shop is email, like email list. Yeah.
Right.
Like having an email list and sending out somewhat of a regular email to people.
I think that it's a good idea. However, I think that priority should be to finish the edition first.
So not...
I think don't even do anything on it until you have the office done.
Yeah.
Because that desk, I know you're putting that off quite heavily.
Well, I'm not,
You're not putting it off, but we know like it's just like you're having a hard time.
It's just a big job.
Yeah, it's a big job.
Time for a big job.
Yeah, but getting into that would help us get more room to work. Even if we didn't redo all this right away, we just brought everything over there and could do like, have extra storage basically just right away because that's huge.
Right.
To get more.
You're getting a phone call. That's all the spike I get. It's a bigger spike than that. Anyway.
So email list, we're talking about the desk.
Yeah, so the desk and stuff and getting all that done. I know that obviously that's a priority to do, but I was just...
Yeah. I think it's a good idea, but I think it's something that we could... I don't think it's like...
There's no rush to doing it.
No, I don't think it's going to change much.
That's kind of what I thought too. It's like... it's kind of like Instagram to me. I like doing it, but it's not worth me putting a ton of extra time into Instagram because
I
don't need to.
Yeah, no, and you don't have the bandwidth really right now anyway.
Right. It's way more worth me putting time into just getting work done. So.
Right, exactly, yeah.
And that's how it's been with the desk too, though, is it's like, yeah, it'd be nice to get done, but for me to take the amount of time it would take to build a desk right now is, I just can't do that.
We're right. And that's like one of the things I was thinking about is like here at the shop, it makes sense to do like content like YouTube or whatever. If you could figure out a way of monetizing that, I was thinking about it's like we're at a point now where like we have so much work in here. There's like no end to it. And it's like if you could get some kind of revenue coming in from something else, it'd be kind of nice because then you could kind of back down on work and essentially just do like
not be so
reliant on the work side of it as it is like, okay, the content is making 20% of my salary is coming off of that, to where it's like we can just have fun in here, not have fun in here, but you know what I mean, like you're still working, but it's like you don't need the in and out all the time and have all that kind of stuff. Because I was thinking about that, it's like there is a truth to like the scale of it. It's like there's one or two ways you could go, and I don't think scaling up to more and more employees and trying to get bigger and bigger, I don't think it's sustainable, especially without financing. I don't know how you could grow fast.
I agree, and I don't want that.
Yeah.
You know that I don't want to scale to like 10 employees because I don't really like the idea of that. No, I don't want to just be managing a bunch of people. I want to. I like doing the work, and I like doing the work for the people, but what I'm having an issue seeing is that is my ultimate goal, have either like the YouTube, that type of stuff, bring in a little bit of revenue, maybe an online store bring in some revenue, and then the shop bringing in just some revenue, but I can hopefully pick and choose and do jobs I want to do. But what I have a hard time seeing is how I'm gonna, because the shop's been growing like crazy.
I don't know how you back down.
That's what I mean, is how do you not grow
I kind of know. I know how to do it.
Just tell people no.
No, I don't think it's tell people no. So this is how I think you do it. I think that you need to raise your prices more aggressively.
Yeah.
Because the thing that I can see is there's a lot of people that are wanting work done by you just because of you and the shop name. Yeah. Like that's evident because there's a lot of people that get call us telling us like, oh, I was told to come to you. Like,
yeah.
You know, the word of mouth is pretty crazy. And so what I think is that I think it helps on both sides of it. I think it helps with growth because now you're going to get more money coming in because we already can't handle the amount of workload that's in here.
Right.
So by raising prices 10% or however much you end up raising it, I heard a noise. I was like, what is that? By raising, you know, prices 10% or however much you do it, it's going to slow down the amount of people that want to get work done. But I don't think it's going to slow it down more than the amount of work that's actually coming in.
Yeah.
And I think that's a way to slow it down, but also allow you to do less work so that you can get more income coming from those things. So I think in all ways it makes your income go up.
Okay, I would agree that would work for that purpose. It'll weed out a group of people, right? And it'll only the people willing to spend the extra money, they'll come in here. My issue with that is, okay, I don't have any like mission statement or like, you know, business mantra or whatever you call them, but I don't like the idea of just overpricing. You know, I like the idea of giving the guy who maybe can't afford it but wants to work with me an opportunity just as much as the rich guy who I may not even like.
I think that there's a way that you could do a happy balance on that. So there's two things. I wouldn't call it overpricing because the way that I kind of look at it is by pricing yourself so cheap, you're not cheap.
I'm not cheap. I'm right on par with other people.
I know, but what I'm saying by pricing on average and being so popular, it is kind of excluding your good customers because now our workload is so far out that we can't do work for people that need it done right away.
Right.
So by raising the price, the people that really need to get the work done and are really good customers are still going to get the work done, but they're going to get it done faster. It's just going to cost a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I do see your point of like you're trying not to exclude certain people.
Well, and it's not only that. I'm now basically saying I don't have time or you can't afford me or whatever to get your work done in our shop. So go to the shop that I don't think does as good of a job and might screw up your engine and might put you in an unsafe issue.
So this is what I would say. I think that you're looking at the issue from both sides and you're trying to have it both ways. You're trying to have your ice cream and eat your cake too, or whatever that saying is.
Yeah,
and so this is my thing is I don't think you can operate I don't think successfully as a small shop. I don't think that you can operate as a boutique shop is what I'll call it, I guess. Is like
premier kind of.
A premier boutique shop, but also not priced like one. Because the reason why a big shop can do what they do is because they have so many employees, they can just churn through work and get it done. Yeah. But then for a small shop, they either are just growing like we have been, or they end up having to be a premier shop, which has high-end customers because I don't think that it's sustainable to think that you can have cheap prices and not hire a bunch of employees because the scalability, we're already to the point where you're having to hire support staff and that's only going to get worse and worse. And if you're not churning through work, you can't afford to have that support staff long term.
Yeah.
So to me, the only way that you can support that staff long term is to raise your prices because you got to think if you do a 10% raise, you're almost covering the cost of just off of your work in the shop. You're going to cover the cost of one employee every day.
Right.
Just your work. And then my work and the other employees' work will cover that support staff 3 days a week just off of a 10% raise.
Yeah.
In one day.
Right.
I guess that's kind of my point.
Yeah. I could see where not necessarily pricing, you know, super extremely more expensive, but just like the higher side, like maybe that 10% is not all that much because on a $20,000 engine overhaul, that's now $22,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is it's not a huge jump.
That's not huge, but I honestly don't know if that's enough to weed out enough people. You know what I mean?
No, but I think it's a start.
Yeah.
And then I think you just do it incrementally and you keep
and also
doing
it's like I don't mind telling people like, look, it's going to be 6 months. Wait or don't wait. That's what we can do. But I don't want that to be 2 years.
Right.
You know.
But what I see is the biggest issue that you have is time.
Right.
We have no time to do any of the projects we need to do in here.
And we're sitting here wasting our time talking.
Well, this is, I think, beneficial, but my point is, I think that you have no time to get projects done in here, and I don't want to, and neither do you. I don't really want to work 12, 15-hour days to get caught up, or I don't think we should, because I think that just sets a precedent.
That's like against my whole...
Yeah, it just defeats the whole purpose of it. Yeah. And so my thing is the way that you buy time is you have to charge more, because you need to make more per hour to where you don't have to do as much in the day in order to have the time to be able to do things that actually are going to make you money down the road, like a parts store, like the YouTube, like all that kind of stuff.
But we're already slammed busy, so it's hard to...
I know, but I think the strategicness to get there is you need to raise prices as soon as possible, especially going into summer. You should be raising because the demand is now up.
We already have, just because of the inflation and
I
stuff
know,
recently.
But you know what I mean? Like that 10% raise, I think would weed out some. And then on top of that, well, honestly, I don't think it'll weed out anyone, truthfully.
Right.
But I think what it will allow you to do is to pay for more support in any way. I don't know what that means totally. That may mean that by doing a 10% raise, you now have 10% more money to be able to just hire an accountant full time.
Right.
That does all the books and stuff like that. You know, stuff that's going to save you time on the back end.
Yeah. See, those things, it's interesting because things like the accounting, like now that Allie, as a receptionist, is able to do most of the parts ordering, most of the parts receiving, and most of the invoicing, that hasn't been an issue. And then the accounting side, like that's very little, and I may get behind, but it doesn't take me much to like catch up when I need to. What really has been keeping me too busy to work is the phone calls, but not just the phone call that requires me and only me to do something. You know, they want to look for a specific part that no one else is going to be able to identify. Like, and I can't just teach Allie that, you know, I can't, that's something I've learned over 10, 12 years, you know?
Mm-hmm. So what I would say is I think in the short term, I think that we should start, if it's a very hyper-specific question, that's probably pretty easy to teach Allie what is hyper-specific and literally say, have a thing for Allie to say like, hey, he's not able to get the phone right now. We are slammed at the shop, so we're trying to get work put out. So we're limiting Tyler's limiting replies back for specific questions only for an hour a day. He'll give you a call back at 12. And you literally sit down.
I wouldn't say all that. I would just say I'll get back at 12.
But you know what I mean? Like have a very specific time.
But even then, it's not so much the call. It's not the phone.
I know.
It's some guy wants a set of connecting rods. I have to call this one guy, see if he's willing to sell them and how much he'd sell them for. He doesn't know, I'm sure, so I'm going to have to research how much they're worth. And then I have to fix them to be able to sell them because they're not quite ready to go. Right. It's just all of that.
So that's where
I want to make that sale not for the money, but for the connection to that customer.
Agreed. And so that's where it's harkening back to exactly what I was saying before. You're operating like a boutique high-end shop on low-end prices.
But again... changing the price wouldn't change any of this scenario.
No, but it's going to slow it down in the future. And so, like, it will change it eventually.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think raising the prices is really important, because in order for you to be able to have that phone service, you have to be able to operate at a lot higher dollar per hour in order to afford giving up that time.
Right.
Because most shops, they're not going to give up that time, because every hour that they give up, they're not making money. But if you're charging 30% more, you still might not make as much.
Yeah.
But it'll help
balance out and stuff.
Yeah. That's kind of what I see is like the problem is it's like you can't have both ways. You either have to be a boutique or you have to be
No, I get that.
Low end.
And that's where we're caught in the middle of growing.
Yeah.
Which we needed to do anyway. But
But I don't see I see the bottleneck of the growth already. Like we're at a point where really, I don't know if any more employees would make a difference.
No.
Especially in the shop. I mean, there's just not much difference that can be had. So there's really only one tool to pull, and that's either become way more efficient in the shop, which is good tool. So I guess there's two tools. Or it's, start to change the customer base, which is high end.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. I think that's...
Well, that gives me some good food for thought, and John's here, so we should
Yep.
probably
get back to work.
Actually work now.
Mm-hmm.
All right.